back to my channel. It's been actually a couple of weeks since I've made a YouTube video, and I really have no excuses, honestly. Just life, work, life, work, work, life. I don't know about you, but the hour that we lost from daylight savings time has ruined my life. I miss sleep. I really miss sleep, and did I mention I miss sleep? I feel very, very, very exhausted. But in light of my exhaustion, I've actually been able to focus a lot of time recently on The Shrike and the Shadows, which I am co-authoring with my dear friend Amanda Wright. If you didn't already know, recently there was something called Pit Mad on Twitter, which is where you share a blurb about your story and agents like your blurb, and that means that they're interested in your story and you are to query to them. So after a full day of Pit Mad and working with Amanda to scour through different blurbs for Parliament House, we actually decided to also put The Shrike and the Shadows up. We got one like. And I mean, one might not be like a huge big deal, but it was one. And it really set the tone for us to get back into editing and to really start querying to agents. Now, I'm sure you're probably wondering, well, Chantal, you actually work for a publishing house. Why are you querying for agents? So Amanda and I actually really want to query to an agent so that we can possibly, hopefully, get published by a top publisher, one of the top 6 or 7 or 8 or however many top publishers there are out in the world, and get our book out into a bookstore. Which leads me to the whole reason why I am doing this video today. So today I'm actually going to be talking about author myths. I cannot tell you how many times I see people's faces just go, whoa, when you say I'm an author, because immediately they think books on shelves, bookstores, making money, I'm J.K. Rowling, like let's just pull out the wallet. And the author myth is that it's just not true. In college, as a creative writing major, discussions of your future financial situation, it's definitely something that our professors approached us about. They were very transparent in letting us know that as an author, you are not going to be making bank. Like you are not going to be this rich and famous person. You are not going to be J.K. Rowling. You are not going to be Stephen King. There is a possibility that you can, but the reality is writing is not something that is going to bring in money into your bank account financially and stably. Stably? Is that a word? Stably? I'm gonna make it a word because I'm an author. My degree says that I can make words up. Take that, YouTube. I've had my own experiences and interactions with people who have a certain idea of what an author means to people, what you see in the media, what it means to them. I hate to be the myth buster here, but we are not rich people. Not at all. Another myth is that just because I'm an author, it does not mean that I have a ginormous tub of free books to give out. If I had free books to pass out to everyone all the time, I wouldn't make anything. Not that I do, but it's just not true. There is not this influx of free books that I can just pass out to everyone all the time. Paperback books are something that authors do have to buy or purchase, especially if you are an independent author. So when readers approach me personally and say, can you send me a book? I hate to break the myth there, but I don't have free books. I don't have an influx of books, and I certainly don't have a bank account that supports sending out free books across the world. And if I did, that would be amazing. I'd be a famous author. Another myth is that authors tend to use people that they have interacted in their lives to write a book. And I would actually have to say that myth is probably very true. Just like any creative person, you take things that are very inspirational to you, that is in your realm or your reality, and you use it. Yes, I have written books based off of other people. I have used people in my novels. No, I have not done it viciously or maliciously. Innocent until proven guilty. So for example, in The Songs in Our Hearts and in The Songs We Remember, I actually based a lot of that story on personal high school experiences that I had. I might have based it on a high school crush that I had. And I absolutely based the family of Charlie on my own family. Now, did the people know that I was doing that? Yes, I did ask permission. I did bring it to the attention of my family, family, my mom, my sister. I couldn't necessarily ask my father because unfortunately my father has passed away, but I was able to use that opportunity to write about my dad, which was just really therapeutic, and it was really the whole reason why I was writing this story to begin with. And I did reach out to my high school crush, who had always been a very good friend of mine, and told him what I was doing and why I wanted to do it, and he was like, write our story. I was like, well, I'm gonna have to fictionalize the story because obviously it did not have this glorious, wonderful teenage happy ending with, you know, don't you forget about me playing in the background. Like it did not end that way. It was a really great way of using people that I knew and I loved and cared about, and to share it in a book. One of the most annoying myths that I think I've ever heard, if you're an indie author or an indie publisher, it means that you're not a real writer. And I have always wanted to just dissect that sentiment and just like try to understand where people are coming from with that. I don't think there is a solid definition of what makes a real writer. You don't have to go to college to get a creative writing degree to be a real writer. That's just not true. I have known a lot of great writers who did not go to school for writing, honestly started writing on outlets like Tumblr, on Facebook, you know, RP groups. People do a lot of writing there, and a lot of people are not trained. Is that what you would call it? Trained? So to say someone is not a real writer just because they don't have an agent, just because they are not published with a top publisher, I don't think that's necessarily fair. Being contracted with a top publisher is not an easy feat, but that by no means means that by signing on with an indie publisher, you're any less important or any less a writer. The whole marketing world of writing and publishing is changing, and it's changing daily. I've been in this industry for like 2 or 3 years, and I've seen it change just within that short amount of time. It's so discouraging to see people say things like, well, if I can't find your book in a bookstore, I don't want to read it. Just because it's not in a bookstore does not mean that I should or should not be legitimized. There are a lot of logistics that a lot of people don't understand when it comes to the publishing world. In order for a book to even be placed on a bookshelf in a bookstore, it has to be returnable. That means that there has to be enough money in the publishing house in general as a whole to afford to send the book to the bookstore and also buy it back with a cover ripped, okay? Like, imagine a truckload of tarnished books that, I mean, you could love on them, but a lot of people are very picky. Like, if there is a bent page, like God forbid you have it on your bookshelf. Just imagine a truckload of books with no covers, pages ripped out, and that's what's being returned to a publishing company. But that's supposed to define what a real author is, or what a real writer is, or what a real publisher is. It's frustrating. It's so frustrating. One of the author myths for me is that anyone can be a writer, and by no means, by contracting yourself with an independent publisher does not mean that you are any less worthy or any less talented or any less anything in the publishing world. You do not owe people free books just because you're an independent author. You do not owe people free favors because you're an independent publisher. It doesn't mean that you have to just take anyone who sends a book your way. You as a publisher or you as a writer get to set the standard, not the peanut gallery. My favorite myth, and by favorite I totally mean that sarcastically, is because I'm a published author, it means that I feel like I am better than other people who are not published. And I can't speak on the behalf of all the authors in the world, but I personally do not feel that way. I know how much work I've put into my books. I know how much work it takes for other people to do their own work. And I know that journey. It's not easy. I've actually had that comment made to me once: because you're a published author, do you think that you're better than so-and-so or blah, blah, blah? And no, that is definitely an author myth that I would love to bust and say, absolutely not. I do not think any author is better than another author. Writing styles are certainly different, and everyone can grow and learn as a writer, as an author. Writing is never just something where you write it and you're like, okay, done, that was the best work ever. You're gonna go back to that story and change it at least 10 more times, if not 20 more times. And over a span of years in your lifetime, the story's always gonna change because you're changing. So there's always room to grow, and there's always room for change. I think just like anything, when your career or your writing or your profession start going to your head, I think that's when things get a little like I might look to the sky for inspiration, but I like to keep my feet firmly planted in the ground because that's gravity for you. Another author myth is that authors just love to read books. And while that is definitely true, I mean, why else would we be writing novels? We don't always have the time to read them. And I find the question, what are you reading, or what is your current read, very perplexing when you've just released a book, because I didn't have time to read. I've been too busy writing draft after draft, or I've been recovering from the months and months and months of writing or editing or writing. Did I mention I was writing? Like, I haven't had time to read a book. What's a book? And this might be my own author myth. When I've answered that question with, I haven't read a book, or I couldn't tell you what my last read was, I don't know if it comes off as this, like, are you kidding me? Like, I have not had a chance to read a book. It's just the truth. The truth is that I haven't had the time to read a book because I've been writing one. So maybe the author myth is that we have nothing but time to read and write books, and that's often really not the case. A lot of the times, authors, especially independent authors, we have full-time jobs. I have a full-time job that I go to from 8 in the morning till 4 or 4:30. So technically, I'm awake at 6 a.m. and I'm not getting home until 5 p.m. And I have the rest of the evening to do my writing and my editing and my social media, and social media is like a whole other day job. So my personal author myth is that I don't have time to read books, not as much as I wish, and I still have a goal of being able to read 25 to 50 books this year, and I've been doing poorly. I think I've read like 3, maybe. I don't even think I've read 3. It's shameful. It's so shameful. Don't even get me started on like the sequels that I'm supposed to be writing this year, because they haven't happened either. That's all I have for you today. Those are my author myths. I'd love to know if you've heard any strange or interesting author myths. Be sure to leave whatever you've heard in the comment section below. And of course, if you've enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and be sure to subscribe to my channel if you'd love to see more videos about me and writing and other things. And of course, if there's anything that you would like for me to do, be sure to leave that in the comment section below too. I'm always looking to make new and interesting content that you would enjoy and I would enjoy making. And with that, you author myth buster people, I'll catch you later.